Welcome to another Company of Heroes 2 cast, a CoH2 CoH2, featuring today on Langraskaya as the Americans, HOI-PauL.A.D. And in the south we've got BoB WoW, or WoW as we'll call him, for the OKW. And we'll give the commander roster quickly for the Americans. Oddly, I don't see them. What do you have there for the Axis there, Phil?
BoB WoW has actually already opted for a doctrine. He immediately chose fortifications, so maybe we'll see some LMGs and some MG34s and some PaK-43s.
And sorry, I meant to refer to you as your nickname, which is Hoplite, everyone. So welcome to the cast. Special guest today, Hoplite, and we will have Outlaw Star returning for a future cast, in case you're wondering where he went to. It looks like the OKW is going to go on the scout with their supply truck, half-track. What do you think about that?
I think it's a really great move. You can kind of poke around, see what your opponent's up to, maybe push him around some cover. And it's not very vulnerable because it's a pretty tanky unit. So even if it does come under fire, you just back it out and repair it, or build it into a building, and then it goes to full health. So
yeah, it was something that was being exploited before, when it was able to basically one-hit buildings by running into them, or run over enemy units. I'm not sure if it can still run over units or not. It's trying to do something like that right now, but we'll see what happens here.
I do believe it can no longer crush.
I think you're right. That was a big change because that was pretty cheesy, I believe.
Yeah. However, you do still sometimes see it being used a bit as a battering ram on buildings, which is pretty hilarious.
Indeed. So
now on the left side here, we've got BoB has gone for a double Vogue start. He's actually about to build a third, capping up the left side.
Looks like he's had enough of scouting with the supply half-track, so he's going to pull it out with about 15% life loss on that unit. And the Americans have gone with a typical triple rifle start. And like I said, I don't have access for some reason. I guess when I switched back and forth between the OKW and the Americans, I lost the access to the three commanders, but we'll see if he goes for airborne, I believe, is actually what I saw in the preview earlier of this replay. Looks like in the middle of the axis are capping the VP, and on the right we've got our first major engagement.
Yeah, we can see those rear echelons are in trouble, and actually so are the stern piles, but they both retreat hastily.
Looks like the rifles are in green cover, and the Volks are in yellow for some reason, even though they're both behind haystacks. Are you aware of that on this map? Is there some reason those haystacks
it looks
yellow?
Like he was kind of on the tip of those haystacks. If he were facing the other direction, I think it would have been green, but I
think you're right.
He was kind of in a funny spot there.
And then over on the left, the Volks are pushing up against some rifles, both in yellow cover this time.
The patch that is currently in the open beta testing is supposed to fix a lot of issues with cover, and supposedly cover is going to be a lot easier to use in situations like that. So hopefully we'll see that kind of thing happen less.
I've heard nothing but good things about it so far. So two rifles now sandwiching these Volks. They're going to be in trouble here, but they throw a grenade quickly.
Ooh, great grenade.
And takes the rifles down to 2 men. Very nice throw.
Excellent grenade, excellent grenade. He's still forced off the map, but he did some great damage before he left.
Some Sturms now forcing off some rifles down to 3 men on the south strat point, just outside the OKW base. He's opted for the mechanized regiment headquarters just inside the base. I'm thinking on this map you don't have a whole lot of option to put the base out in the field. Would you agree with that, Phil?
You know, yeah, I would say it's really a touchy subject as to where you put your trucks, and this is one where your trucks are best left close to the base. So I would agree with you on that.
And it looks like we've just got some quiet combat period here as both teams spread out to cap, and looks like the lieutenant's going to engage some stern piles on the munitions point. They're going to hop into the building. Rear echelon moving up down the side of the cap point, and they're going to retreat as well.
some Vokes firing away from behind the green cover sanctuary of that tractor, and here come the riflemen.
Double rifles, and he's got, so it looks like the rifles have the advantage here. Very deft move there by the Axis, noticing that, yes, I've got a 5-man squad, but I am outgunned here. I'm going to retreat right away, even though I've got full squads. And looks like the M20 utility car is going to also chase down this 4-man Sturm squad. They're low health, so he might have wanted to consider giving chase there, because he might have actually knocked off at least a couple more of those, but he's going to head up, possibly to lay some deadly M20 mines.
Absolutely, and I think that was a great decision by BoB WoW to just get out of there as soon as possible. A lesser player might have hung in there and thought that he could maybe take on those rifles, but that M20 was soon to follow up behind and could have done a lot more damage had he stuck around.
The M20 also scared off some Volks in the north, and a nice blobbing here by, I hate to say nice blobbing, but sometimes it is a nice thing to do. The rifles 3 blobbed together in the south, and now they're going to spread out and after the decap, as they're very close to the mechanized regiment where he's got healing popped on them.
And that MG34 is going to get pushed off. Will it survive?
Let's see, this time he's definitely going to give chase. Volk's coming in to try and screen, and Sturms.
And it does get out, and it looks like BoB WoW has opted for a quick Puma, which I think is a good choice to try and push off that that M20. The Puma's a very good unit currently. It can go toe-to-toe with most vehicles early in the game, and even through the mid-game, you can even see it tangle with some tanks. And it's not so bad against infantry. It's not amazing, but it's got some health to it.
Getting a shot off on the M20, taking it down to about 50% health. He's going to drive right through the riflemen. And over on the right side, meanwhile, it looks like the rear echelon are retreating after they've met some Volks. The Puma's going to give chase all the way back to the base on the M20. And a big push here right in front of the Axis base as well. These rifles got to get out of there. They're in trouble, down to 3-man and 2-man respectively. But so are the Axis units. So sort of dwindling on both sides.
And back in the American base, BoB WoW has killed the ambulance. The medics did seem to get out in time. However, no more mobile reinforcement for the American player for the time being.
Great play there. The Puma really paid for itself there, just in the fact that A, bullied the M20 off the field, B, killed the ambulance, so that's paid for itself easily by
Absolutely. Now. And I know personally I love having ambulances, but I hate paying for them, so having to get a new one is a real pain in the butt. It's such a vulnerable, fragile unit.
Sure is. I mean, 10 fuel doesn't sound like a lot, but that 250 manpower is also a big factor.
Absolutely. And every bit of fuel counts, and every bit of manpower really counts, especially towards once you get into the late game, you'll be wishing you had it.
Yep. I mean, healing is so critical too. I mean, if you've got, like, look at that one rifle squad there with 5 men down to under half health. Without healing, he saved his medics. Very wise move. He popped the medics out of the ambulance, and now he's able to heal still, so he's not going to need a second ambulance.
That's a great tactic there. I know another great tactic some people sometimes opt for is as soon as they build the ambulance, they'll actually pop their old rear echelon troops to drive the ambulance, and then they'll have the medic squad move along with their fighting units. And they will just leave the ambulance at home, piloted by rear echelons, kind of replacing your rear echelons with medics, essentially.
A half-track coming out of the base for the Americans, pushing the Axis units off the victory point in the north, but he's ran into some Puma resistance now. Looks like both a shot or two missed him, and he's just going to sit up to the south of the victory point. We'll see if the Puma goes aggressive here and tries to engage him or not, or if he just waits. I mean, the Axis have the advantage in terms of map control, so he might just want to sit back, wait until it engages. Let's see what this MG42 can do here.
I do think it's a good thing he didn't go too Rambo with the Puma and go hunting on his own, because could be a dangerous thing to do without any infantry support. Keep in mind your vehicles are there to support your infantry, not the other way around.
Big landmine there, just in the little gap to the left of the center victory point, taking a rifle squad down from 5 to 3 men. And in the north, looks like some Volks are being chased by the M20 again.
M20 making an appearance again, still in this fight.
Indeed.
And, looks like Bob Wild lost his truck.
Yes, he did. A little too aggressive there.
That is a nasty loss. That's going to slow his tech down by a few minutes.
So how do you think he can get this AA half track to have any kind of impact when there's a Puma on the field, or do you think he's sort of out of the question right now?
You know, it's hard to say. The AA half track does do a little bit more damage when it's stationary, including the vehicles. So sometimes it can deal a little bit of damage to that Puma. However, the Puma overall should win in a straight-up 1v1 Duke. But if you support your half track properly, you should still be able to at least suppress some infantry.
Here they go, engaging each other. The Puma got the first shot off and is able to take the half track down. Substantial amount of health cut off it. And looks like the Puma still at full health. Being chased, though, by a potential grenade.
It's vetted up to Vet 1 as well. It's only got 6 kills, but it's done some good vehicle damage, so...
Indeed. That'll provide the Puma with the aim shot ability, which will lock the turret on any enemy vehicle. Now he's chasing the AA half track.
It looks like he's using aim shot, or he was trying to. But doesn't look like he got a shot off.
Volk's spreading out in the south here, trying to cap the munitions point. And the map is sort of almost 50-50 at this point. A slight advantage to the Allies. One point is neutral on the right side, and the Axis are also capping with their MG42 on the territory point outside their base. And the VP is also falling.
One critical thing to note is that our Axis player does not have either fuel right now, and over time that could really stack up, so I would really like to see him make a push for some fuel.
The American player just loaded up on some BARs, so we'll see what kind of impact they have. Important to note, those have been buffed substantially in the patch that is coming out, currently in open beta, so it'd be a lot more deadly if this was in the beta. We'll see if they're dominant here or not. Some landmines down at mid, though. He's going to have to contend with that.
Nice S-mine field. And
for sure.
Could see some nasty damage being dealt here. Ooh, as the blob walks right in.
Wow. And the Puma's working on the AA half track over on the right and the M20. See if it can get a kill on either.
And, oh, that is a nasty loss. The Major walking right into the S-mine field and is eliminated.
Wow, you would have thought he would have, after that first initial foray into the minefield, would have noticed and pulled back. Now he's really working on this Rakettenwerfer, though.
Yeah, we've got some mistakes here by Bob as well, not paying attention to his Rakettenwerfer. Easily could have retreated that and saved it.
Down goes the AA half track in the base, and he's going to probably finish off the M20 as well. He's got no rifles there to drop an anti-tank grenade on that unit. So the Puma's just wreaking havoc.
Becoming a real terror for the Allied player here.
Oh wow, just shot at the medics and killed 2 men in one shot. One more, I would go for that medic if he can, in the base. That would be devastating.
I think it would be great for him to kill the secured fuel point in the north.
That as well.
It looks like that is what he's going to opt for.
He might have not noticed those medics.
I think I may be about 5 seconds or so ahead of here of Kula, so I'm going to go ahead and pause for a couple.
And what are you at?
149, 50, 51.
And go.
54, 55, 56.
Perfect.
Excellent.
So a little lull in the action here as it looks like an MG versus a rifleman squad on the right with bars, or at least one bar, and they're going to retreat.
Oh, and a nasty mine takes out that, that was an M20 mine, I believe. Takes out that Puma.
Beautiful mine.
Yeah, great mine. Nasty and beautiful. And the Volks Grenadier is quick to salvage the remains, which I think is a great move by our Axis player.
Indeed, but he's got to be careful. They take extra damage when they're doing that, and down to 3 men already.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to be careful when you're doing that. Oh, and there's that Raketten walking into the fray again. Not
Another
so
retreat.
Good.
Oh, there's that unfortunate retreat bug.
Loss.
If you're not familiar, basically the retreat bug is if the main gunner, for example, on a Maxim gets killed, the unit will actually halt its retreat, and it has to be the order has to be reissued. That has been addressed in the beta patch.
And a lot of people are looking forward to that one big time because it's really frustrating losing units like that. Oh, we got another Puma on the field here for our Axis player.
Just punishing those rifles in combination with the MG42 and the Volks and double vet Volks in the house. He might be able to chase him down and finish him off. Nope,
They
he's
captured Rakettenwerfer.
nasty.
This new Puma's in trouble. It's now flanked the Rakettenwerfer, but all it has to do is turn around.
He's working on the Raketten though. He's got to realize that he needs to turn that. I'm not sure what happened there. Little lapse in judgment on behalf of the Allies.
Now, another question is, will our Axis player build minesweepers now, knowing that his opponent has been using mines?
Big nade on the left side just killed 4 men, wiped a rifle squad. Or rear echelon, I'm not sure what. I think it was a rear echelon maybe.
Oh, nice. And we do see the PaK-43 has been built for the Axis player.
Wow.
It's a great spot to put it. You get some good coverage up through the middle of the map. It covers the center VP. However, it's not being guarded right now, and it's under attack by some riflemen. Oh, we got an MG there, actually.
PaK gun turning now.
And Sherman for the American player.
Ooh, 2-man Volk squad's in trouble there on the left point. Is he going to finish the cap? No, he's going to have to retreat. And he died. That Raketten's in trouble once again, folks. Big nade there into the house.
Now the PaK will keep the Sherman at bay. However, he's got to protect that PaK.
Yeah, he's got 2 MGs right there. He just needs to turn them, basically. One of them is going to turn perfect. One firing to the north, one to the south, but it's not going to be fast enough by the looks of it. The PaK has been decrewed.
And some Sternpios swing in to sweep up the mess and recap that point. But he's only got 1 squad of full... Oh, and he recrews with Sternpios. That's an expensive recrew.
He might have seen that Sherman coming, I'm not sure. That might have been the reason, but no, probably not, as he didn't turn it right away. So yeah, probably you should use your Volks when you recrew a PaK if possible. But he might have been a little panicky there. Puma chasing
and
the
Puma
Sherman.
Comes up.
And he's aware of that PaK now, so the American is unlikely to push up very far with that Sherman. At the 20-minute mark, we will pause for a mid-game analysis as well there.
Sounds good. You got some MG34s being used to cap. That's not to be underestimated. That's a really good strategy or tactic, I should say, by any good Axis player. Make sure to use those MGs to also cap. Don't just use them as static defenses. Fire, and then after every engagement, reposition them so that your opponent doesn't know where they are.
And on the left side, some medics actually capping all the way down on the field point, so making good use of an extra squad. You know, that ambulance being lost might be a blessing in disguise now that he's captured the fuel with those medics.
Yeah.
Big push down the middle with 3 rifle squads, and he's got a Puma to contend with. Looks like the MG's on retreat. Oh, a flak cannon, a 2-centimeter flak 38 emplacement coming up for the Axis to protect the PaK. Interesting decision.
I like this decision. Oh, and it looks like it's getting taken down. But
unfortunate.
I think it was a great decision. However, I think the placement was a bit odd.
I think his thoughts was to have it on the high elevation there, as opposed to near the road. But it was visible. You know, you're probably thinking put it behind the hedgerow, I would assume.
I'm not sure where to put it. However, I just didn't like that spot.
Yeah.
I think maybe a little bit further up, maybe across the road, even to kind of to protect more ground and protect the PaK a little bit wider.
Big hit on the Sherman by, looks like a Puma coming out of the base, from the base, and the Sherman's gonna have to retreat now as he's got 2
Sherman's in trouble.
Volks. Will he get a shot?
It looks like he gets away.
No, he got away. Good work on the.
Beginning to build up on Bob Lau's units.
Paul with a recrewing of an MG team, doing a lot of work here, an MG-34. That was a nice steal. And he's got a Rakettenwerfer and an MG there for the Americans. Nice work.
Making off like a bandit.
Indeed. Great little play there, because when you can do that and convert your units, you know, if you just grab a Raketten, for example, it's not going to do so well out in the field that deep. But when you grab an MG and a Raketten, you've got anti-tank and anti-infantry. So great move there by the Allies.
Absolutely. And not only that, but you deny the weapons from your opponent as well.
Sherman now healed, and the weak one is healed as well, so they've got 2 fresh Shermans ready to make an impact here.
Meanwhile, the Axis player has got his Puma repairing, and he's trying to rebuild that pack, but he's under fire from the Sherman, and he's canceled.
That Raketten's going to be critical here, as all he's got is a Puma against 2 Shermans. We'll see what the Raketten can do.
Absolutely.
He should be moving those Shermans back.
He needs to bring in those Volks.
Yeah, the Volks would seal the deal. He could probably take out 2 Shermans, no problem, if he ambushed them properly.
Absolutely, and he is attempting to build this pack again. If he can get that up, that's going to keep the Shermans at bay, at least for the time being.
Ooh, a nice bunker going up from the Volksgrenadiers to cover the pack instead of the flak. I like that better.
Yeah, I think that's a good move.
The flak can be a little buggy. That's another thing they fixed. Excuse me, with the newest patch. It now has 8 times the accuracy.
Wow, 8 times.
Indeed, apparently it's just an absolute killing machine. The flak emplacement, as well as the flak base and the flak half track for the OKW.
I haven't gotten a chance to read through all the patch notes. I didn't see that one.
Yeah, a little bit of complaining going on about that one already.
And we got a great engagement going on here. It looks like the riflemen have been suppressed by that MG-34, and one of them's now pinned, and they quickly retreat.
Oddly, the Volksgrenadiers decided to recrew the Raketten. I guess he was really concerned about it being stolen by the enemy, because there's no reason to do that in an infantry-only battle there. Now the Shermans show up, but obviously that Raketten was... Oh, big shot on the Volksgrenadiers by the Sherman, and he's going to pull a quick retreat. Sherman, oh, he got the aim shot off. The turret is stuck on that Sherman, but he's going to get out of there. Just can't get that pack up, can he?
No, it's really tough for him here.
He needs one more. He needs another way to get a second Puma on the field. How's he doing for fuel here?
He's not doing so hot on fuel. He's been denied both fuels for a long time now. He's only got 46, and things are looking pretty grim for our Axis player.
There, I've just enabled show all resources. Sorry about that, folks. Now you can see that the Axis have the 47 fuel, and the Allies are sitting at the 154. We may see a P-47 strafe this game.
How can we turn that one on?
Above show taskbar, there's an option for show resources, right below show fog of war. Got MG-34 now being vetted to vet 1, so he's gotten the incendiary rounds. Real nice steal there for the Americans. You should really pop those incendiary rounds right now. Working away at these Volks, they're now suppressed. And looks like he's going to load the incendiary. Here he goes. Oh, is he going to open fire on that pack? Nope, looks like it's not incendiary, just a standard reload. That's not going to do much against the pack. Here come the Shermans, though. And since we're past our halfway point, we'll pause at the 24:15 mark. And we'll do a little bit of an analysis here as these Sturms charge in on the American Rakettenwerfer. Big hit, down to 3 men. Phil, what's your mid-game analysis? Or we'll say 3/4, basically, analysis.
Well, you know, our German player is in some pretty dire straits. He's lost a lot of manpower. He's been really feeling the drain from these Shermans. His Pumas have been doing some good work and kind of keeping the American at bay, but when he's got so little map, the outlook is grim. The outlook is grim.
Indeed. Both players have had some good plays, a few mess-ups by both. A little questionable Rakettenwerfer use by the Axis resulted in the stolen Raketten, as well as ample retreats by the Rakettens. and a Puma loss, I think, as well, but he did really good killing the M20 as well as the AA, completely negating those, and almost killing the medics there, as well as the fuel cache in the north, all in one attack. He wiped that all out with a single Puma, so it more than paid for itself in that attack. But the Allies not doing too bad here. They've got the 2 Shermans still on the field pressing now, so we'll see if the Axis can make a breakout or not. We will resume the game in 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, down goes that Sturm squad. It was completely eliminated by the MG on the Shermans.
Yeah, that's really painful, and that leaves the Axis player with no way to repair or build defenses now. And Sturm piles are expensive, folks.
Save for bunkers. The Volksgrenadiers build the bunkers in this doctrine, which is nice.
Yeah.
Here come the Shermans again. Wow, just completely destroying these poor Volksgrenadiers. They're in green cover now, but that'll get destroyed if they get another shot off. Down to 2 men now. Triple vet. They're going to want to pull out, but they're going to try to main
It's a
gun.
nice shot from the pack.
Oh, wow. I didn't think he expected that pack to be up right there.
Oh, and here come the P-47s on the left side trying to go for this Puma.
Indeed, that's a nasty shot on the Puma. Let's see if the Puma can back out far enough, because they are turning around, coming back in for the shot. Let's see what happens.
Puma needs to get as far away from that area of the map as he possibly can.
Oh, wow, and a Sherman just went down. I'm not sure whether that was to a landmine or... No, it looks like the Volks finished
it was
him.
a Volks.
Yes, indeed. I was focused on the P-47 and missed that one. I just heard the scream of the Sherman tank.
And some American infantry pinned up here in the north area, and they're being forced off. And it looks like this Puma might go down.
Wow, just surviving.
He needs to get it out of there. It's still in range of the P-47s, which will be back for another sweep.
He should probably tuck it way down in the very bottom right corner if possible.
Yeah, I agree. However, it looks like it might be too little too late, as here comes the killing blow.
No, it's firing on the supply half-track. Good move to have the supply half-track out there to absorb some fire. Sherman now going to finish off the supply half-track, so if those P-47s make one more run, they might just finish that Puma off. They seem never-ending when you're on the receiving end.
Yeah, they really do. However, it looks like they might be gone.
I think they are. That was the lengthy run they made.
And the Pack 43 did turn to the left to face that Sherman, which hastily tucked back away into the corner in the pocket, away from its range.
The OKW might consider building a flak half-track. They're very good at shooting down the P-47s. Volk's being scared off at mid by 2 barred-up squads, both riflemen, 1 triple vet, 1 double vet. And that MG-34 is now a double vet. Nice work by the Raketin on the Puma.
It's always painful when one of your own support weapons is firing back on you, and we can see he's got MG-34 and Raketin Worker both vetted up there on the right side.
On the left, meanwhile, the Raketin that's still in his hands of the Axis is in a building, was able to get a couple shots off on a Sherman. Both Shermans now tucked into the far left above the fuel, repairing. And the rifles do successfully cap the VP. We're sitting at 446 to 256 in favor of the Allies, as the Axis have sort of backed into a bit of a corner here.
The Allies are digging in and waiting for the push. You know, they don't have to do anything at this point, and that's a great takeaway lesson for some of the newer players who might be watching, is when you have an advantage, keep your advantage. Don't throw it away with an offensive that's unnecessary. When you have most of the map, just hang on to most of the map. You don't need the whole map.
Right, and on the counter side of that argument would be to push the advantage when you have the advantage and sort of go for the throat at the same time. So you have to balance and decide, you know, whether it's best to sit back. And in this case, it is best to sit back. What with the Pack, the MGs, the Pumas. In other cases where the enemy is weak, you should sense that and basically wipe them off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
But you're right, in most cases it is good to control what you can. You know, if you have 3/4 of the map, sort of lock down what you have.
The Puma's getting aggressive on the left side there, both taking some damage and dealing some damage, and looks like the battle is over for now. We got a Jackson on the field for the American forces that did some nasty damage to those Pumas.
That pack is working away at that building with the rifles in it. Might bring it down eventually if he doesn't get out. And
in my experience, packs tend to fire through buildings. However, looks like the pack's possibly in a little bit of trouble here.
the pack's going to have to score a tank kill or two here, simply because we've got 2 Pumas up against 2 Shermans and a Jackson. So the Allies have the distinct advantage here as 3 rifles get chased off in the south. But the Axis are going to have to somehow get up to that mid-VP and spread out a bit here. They're really trapped down by this flag. Interestingly, he went for an infantry support gun here. That'll work at some of these units in the building.
I do think it's a good idea that he went for that. He needed a little bit more unit diversity, as right now he's just kind of lacking a few things. I think the next big move for him would be to try to get some heavier armor out if possible.
Down goes a Volk
Maybe
squad
get
at
up a
mid.
square.
5 men down to 1 or 2 Sherman shots. Just devastating.
Ooh. And the Shermans are under fire from the PaK-43 meanwhile.
Indeed. He's going to hop out of one of the tanks and start repairs, with the rear echelon in tow as well.
This is a nice little combo on the lower left area. We actually have a Rakettenwerfer inside of an MG bunker. That is an all-purpose bunker, folks.
Oh, 5 vet Volks on the right side now, getting reduced down to 3 men. Here come the Pumas in for the kill. They are just pounding away at that Sherman. Let's see if they give chase. Yes, they're going
and
to.
They're under fire from the Jackson as well. One of them vets up.
They're backing off now.
And can he get it away? Oh, it looks like that Sherman just narrowly escapes.
He's getting in the building. This could be really dangerous. They could, in one shot, go down.
Oh, he doesn't see the Sherman on the other side, possibly.
He's gambling, I think, at this
but
point.
The PaK-43 can now see, thanks to getting in that building as well.
It's abandoned. The Sherman is abandoned. You should get those Volks out of there ASAP. Down goes a Puma. To a Jackson shot. There goes the Volks. Finally going to retreat, I assume. He kills the abandoned pack. Or sorry, the Sherman. And looks like the Jackson's going to give chase. This could be the death knell here. Down goes the Puma.
But is it driving into the PaK-43? That's the question. And there's a big shot.
Oh! And the infantry gun hit him as well, but it didn't penetrate. Rifles moving in towards mid, where they've got a low, pathetic-looking 2-man Sturm Pioneer squad down to 1 man. Is he going to try and hold out? No. Wisely retreats. And the Axis now just...
Sturm Pioneers narrowly escaped.
The Axis are just hanging on by a thread at this point. What do you think, if anything, what can the Axis do at this point? If anything?
Well, he's only got about 64 fuel. He does have some manpower. You know, it's hard to say what his options are other than really try to bait those vehicles into the PaK-43 and control the opponent's infantry, which is proving to be a hard task with all these high veterancy riflemen on the field.
Indeed, if he had a little more infantry, he could almost consider more defensive structures, but at this point, I mean, he's got a lot of AT down there with the Raketna in the MG bunker and the PaK-43, so it's not like another pack would be wise at this point. 500 manpower, so I'm not sure what he can really build other than maybe another Rakettenwerfer for AT. Big grenade there on the rifles, but it does next to nothing as they're in green cover behind the truck. And the Volks are going to retreat with their 0 vet versus the 3 vet rifles.
Yep, just speaks volumes to how important veterancy is in this game.
There's a vet 3, speaking of veterancy, vet 3 MG team now for the Allies on retreat. Another Puma on the field for the Axis. It's going to have to be a heroic unit if I've ever seen one. I was wondering about the game mechanics the other day. I was wondering, do you think that you should get a little bit of a defensive bonus if, let's say, a grenade comes and lands on a MG team and you're in the process of retreating? Do you think that should give a very slight bonus to your guys if they're in the process of retreating? Or do you think it should be the same as if they're just sitting there?
You know, it's never worked that before. It's never worked that way before, and I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah. It was just something I was wondering if that should happen or not. If that would be a good mechanic.
The way it functions now, it ignores that. It gives you no defensive bonus. However, there have been some great games where players are actually capable of throwing grenades into a retreat path of a unit that's going to pass them by soon and actually wiping squads on retreat that way. It's very hard to pull off because you have to time it perfectly, but it's really impressive to see.
This Puma now engaging some rifles on the left side. They're probably going to be able to cap. Puma's decent against infantry, but not some sort of wonder unit, so to speak, that will devastate them. So he's going to have to, or not going to have to, but he's going to back off. And at mid now, that MG, the now triple vet MG, just destroying these poor Volks. MG34 versus MG34.
And we've got a single-man Sturmpy who actually gets killed by the secondary crewman of that 3MG.
There he is, withering in pain as I zoom in on him.
Yes, he's like, oh, Hans, tell my wife I love her.
Indeed, maybe too late, my friend. Your wife is dead as well. No. The Puma is just not able to do much here. He's sort of overloaded on anti-tank at this point.
And here comes the armor push. Wow, this is impressive armada.
And Artie coming down. This could be a game. Swarming around the Pak-43, and in comes a strafing run by the P-47s as well. Just runs over the Pak-43, completely destroys the Puma. Now all he's got there is an infantry support gun. It looks like he's completely out of Raketten workers as he retreated the last one, down to one man. And this should be game.
And that is a glorious victory rush from the cavalry here. I can hear the American national anthem playing in my head as he just, gallantly strolls through and rolling through this German force.
He just hit a critical amount of armor. He, like I said earlier, he smelt blood. When you do that, you can go for a big push like this and just completely decimate the enemy.
Absolutely.
Looks like the Jackson is wise to sit back as he's not able to do jack shite to any infantry units, but the Shermans, on the other hand, are absolutely devastating to the Volks Grenadiers, especially with those machine guns just slowly whittling down. Another Raketten coming out, so 2 Rakettens on the field now.
For a moment there, that Jackson was actually taking some pretty decent damage from side armor shots from those double flaks in the lower right area. He noticed, though, when he got out of there.
Real good play by Paul here. He's just he knows how to micro his units well, and he's been taking advantage of all the gameplay mechanics at his hand. But he just lost a Sherman to a shot by some Volks, and almost there's a second one to Raketten.
Yeah, it was close. It was close. One great thing to note about some of the Allied vehicles is that they're faster and weaker, so do some damage, run away. They're very much hit-and-run units. Even the Sherman, even though it might be a little bit heavier than a T-34, say, it's still good to do your damage and get out.
Absolutely, especially with the motor howitzer carriage is a good example of a unit like that, which we haven't seen in this game. Very weak Volk squad just on the point right outside the German base. We're likely to see a surrender here very shortly, as the Allies will cap the point in front of the base, and looks like got a Raketten capping the munitions point, and a 5-star Volk squad on the left capping the fuel, as a Sherman will come in and probably clean up here.
Bulakula, you think the Axis player could have done anything differently this game? Anything come to mind? Any points of interest in a recap?
I would say a little bit less putting your money down on a total defensive type scenario in the south with the Pak, the bunker, the Rakettens, all sort of locked down there in the south, whereas he would have been better with a slightly more mobile. I'm not saying the pack was terrible, but it really didn't have the impact he had expected. And against good players, you're going to find that the pack is just not going to be a big impact unit unless you can surprise them with it. And that didn't happen once you knew it was up. That was sort of game over. Here comes some Shermans to finish off the base. Playback is over. And other than that, the Allied player Paul just outplayed him, I thought, in most instances. Other than that one Puma rush was brilliant into the base, I thought. And what are your thoughts on this one, Hoplite?
I would agree. I think the Puma play was really cool. Puma's a great unit. I do agree with you that it's easy to become too defensive, especially for people who might be new to RTS. In general, new players to strategy games tend to want to really hunker down and protect themselves. Well, that's great, but the best way to protect yourself is to throw your enemy off balance, push him out of his comfort zone, throw him off of his ground, and don't let him take a foothold. In this case, the American player just did a better job of withstanding the pressure and was able to overcome this defensive play. I do wish the PaK-43 was a surprise. It was spotted by the American player, and I also wish it was placed a little bit more aggressively. Because it's an immobile unit, it's all your opponent has to do is stay out of its range, and if you move it forward, that range is that much further and really asserts your map dominance. However, it becomes harder to protect at that point as well, so you do have to consider that. But overall, pretty good game.
Yeah, if he could have had a lockdown on the a point further out, maybe to the right of that VP, perhaps, with a bunker and a pack, maybe that would have been a lot closer to the VP there. He would have been able to hop over there and grab it more readily. But instead, he was sort of contending. Instead of fighting over the VP, he was fighting over a useless, well, not useless, but a strat point close to his base. So that was unfortunate, but it was a good game, and thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will catch you on the flip side. Have a lovely day.
Take care.